The Backrooms. The Last Thing You See. Entity number 190. Men in Black. Concord Entity Classification System. Habitats unknown. Indexed Entity Threat Score. Danger 4. Intelligence B+. Class Anthropoid. Properties reality altering, aggressive, and neurological hazard. Quote, the men in black have visited the back rooms 4 times in recent history. The first time, the Meg tried to protect an individual marked for death by the MIB, we lost 10 of our best people. Humans can't hurt them. Humans can't stop them. The second time, we lost 49. We no longer interfere. This is not different than swallowing a poison with no antidote or suffering a terminal illness. Nothing can save Anne Dune now. If we assigned 100 men to her, she would still end up dead, and we would lose 100 men. End quote. Unnamed Meg official briefing Amy Cotrain. Note, see the series of tales narrated in the video I've made covering Phenomenon 30, Orbs. Habitats. Men in Black operate in both the front rooms and the back rooms, but are not native to either realm. Image caption. Cropped and brightened image of the MIB taken on level 365, your worst enemy. Meg Archives. Description. Front rooms. Whenever they are encountered in the front rooms, men in black are never imagined to be anything other than human beings. They are mysterious men, often dressed in black, who silence witnesses to so called unidentified flying objects and terrorize researchers of UFOs and esoteric subjects. Any genuine strangeness is remembered only after they depart. No one has ever reported meeting a group larger than 3, with pairs being common and single individuals encountered the most often. Some witnesses describe them as cadaverous and devoid of body hair. Others see them as swarthy. There is always something slightly, quote unquote, off about their appearance and mannerisms. Another curious trait is that the clothes that the MIB are wearing looks as if they had purchased them in a clothing store 10 minutes beforehand, and even the bottom of their shoes seem unwalked on in appearance, no matter the weather. Everything is always brand new. The Men in Black received official United States Air Force recognition in a confidential memo sent to all commands that began, quote, information not verifiable has reached HQ USAF that persons claiming to represent the Air Force or other defense establishments have contacted civilians who have sighted unidentified flying objects, end quote. The letter recounts how one imposter demanded and received photos belonging to a private citizen, and another bogus officer in full Air Force uniform assembled local police and other civilians to warn them not to speak about their recent UFO sightings. Footnote. Historical fact. On March 1st, 1967, Lieutenant General Hewitt T. Willis, then Assistant Vice Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force, sent the following memorandum to a number of defense agencies, including the Strategic Air Command. Quote, information, not verifiable, has reached HQ USAF that persons claiming to represent the Air Force or other defense establishments have contacted civilians who have sighted unidentified flying objects. In one reported case, an individual in civilian clothes who represented himself as a member of NORAD demanded and received photos belonging to a private citizen. In another, a person in an Air Force uniform approached local police and other citizens who had sighted a UFO, assembled them in a schoolroom, and told them that they did not see what they thought they saw and that they should not talk to anyone about the sighting. All military and civilian personnel, and particularly information officers and UFO investigating officers who hear of such reports, should immediately notify their local OSI offices. End quote. End footnote. MIB quote. What happens when you shoot an angel? Behaviors. Front rooms. Behaviors are where things get really interesting really fast. The MIB often intimidates a witness before that person has a chance to tell anyone else about seeing a UFO. In a surprising turn of events, they describe the UFO sighting to the witness in astonishing detail and know when the witness is lying or hiding something. They are aware of any video, photos, or tangible proof that might, quote, upset the balance of the multiverse, end quote. They warn the witness to keep silent and confiscate any physical evidence. Victims speak of being unable to think or react rationally until after the enigmatic visitors depart. To some, this quote unquote deer in the headlights confusion suggests altered states of consciousness or subliminal hypnotic techniques. Men in black appear and disappear at will. Their black automobiles often vanish down dead end roads. These Cadillacs and Jaguars, reported in the United States and Europe, respectively, are usually vintage models that belong in a showroom. Earth and Psi. Psychics from Earth trapped here, how did they not predict that coming? Find their occult abilities growing sharper and stronger day by day. According to Elena, an evolved faceling from the distant future, now stationed at the Harbinger Heights region of level 246, Dinosaur Alley, this is because the Earth is under the influence of metaphysical suppression due to the concentration of humans found there. This inherent filter permeates every being in the front rooms, native or visitor, and greatly reduces many supernatural abilities. The suppressive antipsychic field does not exist in the backrooms because humans do not belong here. The backrooms environment permits men in black to be genuinely terrifying. Description: Backrooms. We identify life on Earth by its appearance. Men in black are shapeshifters who can change their appearance more easily than we can change our clothes, with access to an infinite closet. MIB can become an entity, your best friend, or even you. Men in black are able to become invisible or pass through objects like ghosts. Unlike a poltergeist, MIB cannot move or affect solid matter while in this ghostly state. They do not possess telekinetic powers. MIB quote, "You exterminate your own kind with primitive weapons that split atoms. What would human beings do with access to real power?" Behaviors. Backrooms. Men in black act and react differently in the back rooms than they do in the front rooms. There are no restrictions on their actions or abilities here. Addendum. Estimate of the situation. Having chosen this existence to live in the backrooms has opened a number of doors for me. Beings with access to temporal travel and predestined knowledge have filled in a number of blanks in my research. This is what I have learned. Human beings on Earth are under strict quarantine. The men in black enforce said quarantine. Certain arcane truths, like the existence of other worlds and beings. Footnote: the men in black can't stop other quote unquote alien beings from visiting Earth and interacting with humans. They can only appear after the fact and eradicate threats to the quarantine. End footnote. Temporal manipulation, quantum consciousness, and free energy are off limits to humanity on Earth. If mankind learned these secrets, it can apparently, quote, upset the balance of the multiverse, end quote. Punishments can include stern warnings, threats of violence, misfortune, or ultimately an exile to the backrooms. That final judgment is basically a death sentence. When the execution fails, the MIB arrive to, quote, tie up loose ends, end quote. Extrapolating this, the major explorer group needs to recognize that anyone finding a way to the front rooms is in mortal danger from the MIB. Anne Dune. Footnote: most of the information for this article comes from Anne Dune, a Front Room's paranormal scholar, psychic, and author of The Menace in Black. She is also the only person to ever survive an assassination attempt by an MIB here in the back rooms. End footnote. Meg Team Epiphany. The quote unquote deer in the headlights trauma that victims suffer during MIB presence is nothing compared to what Entity 190 can do to the human mind in the back rooms. We call it enchantment. Imagine that the human mind is a massive room of standing dominoes. These dominoes control not only emotions, but also bodily functions. Enchantment is a chain reaction to toppling dominoes until death results. The latest official fatality from exposure to enchantments occurred to Meg security technician Alberto Sanchez of Team Harbinger. Wanderers are directed to the visitor section of the article describing Level 710, Ring and Ruins, for more information. Sanchez was pronounced dead on arrival by medical personnel at Base Alpha. Biology. Confidential. The man in black was chasing us across level 19, attic floorboards, in an attempt to avenge the death of my friend, Alberto Sanchez. I let the entity have at it with 2 blasts of fire salt. The MIB did everything a creature of flame should do. The flesh blistered and blackened. It screamed and staggered. Then it laughed. The man in black promised to cuddle us in a hellish embrace and drew closer, wrapped in flames. We ran for our lives until we fell to our knees in exhaustion. The MIB caught up with us, not even breathing hard. In fact, it wasn't even breathing. There was no hint of a skull or skeleton. There were no holes for the eyes, nose, or mouth. The creature was little more than crawling dots and flickering filaments. It was unnerving to watch it reconstitute flesh, face, and clothes from nothing. It stood up, tipped its fedora, and said, "A mind is a terrible thing to waste." That was the last thing I remembered until Anne snapped me out of the enchantment. Amy Cotrain, Meg Team Epiphany. Image caption: Artistic conception of the natural state of a man in black, or MIB. Meg Archives. Confidential. The anecdotal observations of Anne Doone and Amy Cotrain on level 19 allow me to formulate a theory about the quote unquote biology of our man in black. It is the Backrooms' psychic equivalent of a Portuguese man of war, and is not a single creature. Entity 190 is a siphonophore, a colonial organism made up of thousands of filaments and fragments of consciousness, or psychical zooids, working together. Dr. John Reinhardt, PhD, Meg Team Epiphany. Image caption: Rough draft of the original letter that set the MIB policy into motion. Meg Archives. Transcript. For the record, it began with 11 dead, one quote unquote free energy inventor marked for death, one hero, and 9 more unfortunate bystanders. Despite his .38 revolver and his lucky hatchet, Buckeye never touched his target. The inventor died next, followed by the rest of my team. That was then. Today, we will say goodbye to 49 of our best, plus the quote unquote UFOologist we were trying to protect. The MIB can appear as any one of us. They no clip with ease and turn invisible. It was like fighting smoke. Could have killed its target on day 1, but wanted to teach us a lesson. I learned my lesson. Never again. Ever. Signed, Marvin Matthews. Meg Position Statement. Marvin Matthews enters the room and distributes a red binder to each of his fellow Meg officials. The cover reads Protocol of Non-Intervention and Non-Interference Regarding MIB Activity by Marvin Matthews. Image caption: Marvin Matthews wrote the Meg Manual for Dealing with Men in Black. Meg Archives. Official Statement. Ladies and gentlemen of the Major Explorer Group, this is your revised edition of our knowledge and suspicions about the MIB. Men in Black are 3 words. You only need to remember 3 more words. Do not engage. We have conducted exhaustive interviews with Anne Doone and Amy Cotrain of the Meg Team Epiphany concerning their roles in the Great Catastrophe of Level 710, Ring and Ruins. Even though Anne Doone survived, and the man in black apparently did not, her role in the entity's demise was secondary. We do appreciate that it was her knowledge of Front Room's folklore that revealed the secret of cold iron. Footnote: Cold iron, better known as cast iron, is the weapon of choice against the Fae and specific interdimensional beings. Weapons cut from cast iron are quite effective against Entity 190. End footnote. This latest conflict with Entity 190 may not be our last. Any skirmish with these beings risks the lives of everyone around you. Meg personnel are always ordered to stand down. These final words may be difficult for some of you to hear. The entities have little regard for human life because human beings, apparently, are not highly regarded across the multiverse. We are like cockroaches, trying to protect our fellow roaches from an exterminator. Right or wrong, these men in black believe they are serving a greater good. They are relentless. Station Chief Marvin Matthews, Meg Team Harbinger, Level 710. Update. Men in black are identified as Elox. Note, see level 234, Detention Dimension. According to the one on the Divine Path. Note, see level 246, Dinosaur Alley. Alox are true quote-unquote shapeshifters, capable of replicating human beings and humanoids. This is why wanderers are scanned before the Dimensional Detention level 234 Detention Dimension portals can be opened. These higher dimensional inmates will attempt to befriend wanderers to the detriment of the humans. Alox are not biological entities as we understand them. They feed differently. Do's and don'ts. Do. Avoid eye contact. Retreat until you are safe. Don't. Stare at the entity. Threaten or attempt violence.